We have a question from one of Aaron's campaign followers that we want to have a look at, and obviously it folds in nicely with the previous videos we've done in relation to Christopher Morton and the lies he told in a statement to try and get financial gain and protect his life in New York and not to be deported. So the question's from Anonymous 1, and it reads, were they offering money and green cards when this fella came forward, or was that afterwards? Well, in fact, Mr. Anonymous, it is a little bit of both. I will explain that to you now. During the course of his testimony under oath, Pat Marry revealed some of his notes. And I must stress that, and I couldn't stress that enough, how much information was withheld from Aaron's defence and games of cat and mouse in respect of relevant information. But during the course of the probing by Aaron's defence team, it became apparent that in Pat Marry's own notes, in respect of his interactions with Christopher Morton, he writes that Morton, in his initial email, asked, "How do I claim the reward?" Now, there's no ambiguity or nothing to suggest that people didn't know about the reward. It was even in 2013, and it was reiterated and publicised continually. And just a quick example there, the Irish Independent in 2017, a reward of €50,000 in respect of relevant information into the Morton robbery at Lordship Credit Union. And obviously during the course of his Facebook post and his article in the Argus in Dundalk, Sinn Féin councillor Anton Waters also mentioned a reward for those coming forward. And that all links in. Anton Waters links in with Christopher Morton and links in to Pat Marry. And I think what we have to look at is, in respect to the green cards, Marry initiated his contact and met Christopher Morton, it appears, on the 15th of May 2017. Aaron was arrested on the 18th of May. And it was at this time that Pat Marry came up with this brainwave, and it's he highlights it in his podcast, Making a Detective, a podcast Pat Marry created with Stephen Breen from the Irish Sun. It's called Making the Detective, and I think this part comes from episode 11. So please, I've asked you before, please have a listen to Mr. Pat Marry in those podcasts. And it was around this time that Marry had the podcast. He was travelling with Bobby Ogle on an aeroplane back to Ireland, and he had this brainwave. But what we would like to highlight here is the issue of green cards and protecting people with issues, shall we say, people who should have been deported. The likes of Christopher Morton, as the immigration specialist said about Daniel Cahill, his feet shouldn't have touched the ground. So at the time when Marry spoke to Morton, the issue of green cards and immigration status seemed to appear. And that is when Pat Marry put out these posters all over Woodlawn, Yonkers, Katona Avenue, all that area of New York, obviously where it is predominantly Irish. And just a couple of paragraphs we'll have a look at. They're the posters that went up all over Katona, as I say. And then Pat Marry done an article, 4 or 5 page article in the Irish Central, and that's sort of the first page of it there. But what I'd like to have a look at is just a couple of paragraphs in Pat Marry. I suppose the most important one is this one here. Pat Marry said this in his article. In 1994, an S visa category was created to help law enforcement prosecute crimes and terrorism, and allocates a maximum of 200 visas per year. S visa holders can apply for permanent resident status, a green card, if the information provided has substantially contributed to the successful investigation or prosecution of a crime. Now, we have shown quite clearly, and there is absolutely no ambiguity, Christopher Morton told a tissue of lies. and he was prepared to tell those lies to try and further his status in America. But another important paragraph that was in the article, and I think Pat Marry actually was admonished by the Homeland Security authorities for making these offers online, live in an interview in New York with the Irish Central, and then obviously that transferred onto this article. And another serious issue here, and Marry's offering, here you can see quite clearly, status. Gardaí are aware that those with information, especially the undocumented, could be fearful of talking to the authorities. It is stressed that the suspect is not part of a paramilitary gang or other larger criminal network which could lead to reprisals. Department of Homeland Security investigators, he added, are interested in only one thing: justice served in the killing of a cop. Undocumented witnesses will not be apprehended. There's it there in black and white. People, illegal immigrants, if you tell a story, you will not be apprehended. And another vital part of that now is that they're saying that this suspect was not part of any larger gang. Well, anyone that's following Aaron's case and the Irish mainstream media would be of the opinion, if you did not know the truth, that Aaron Brady was part of some highly organised criminal gang. And here they are again, the Irish authorities, Pat Marry, Mark Phillips, contradicting themselves again. So the narrative is continually trashed out or peddled to the Irish public and to the world in general as and when and what suits the Irish authorities' narrative at any given time. So it's quite simple, anonymous one, from your question. They're offering money and green cards when this fella came forward and afterwards. So we're saying yes, they're definitely offering money. The reward was there. It went up to $100,000. And the green cards became more visible to the public immediately after Pat Marry sat down and spoke with the lawyer that is Christopher Morton. So that in itself leads, shall we suggest that during the course of Morton speaking to Pat Marry, Morton said, well, I'm illegal here, possibly a dodgy marriage, I have issues with criminality in Northern Ireland and being deported. I need some assurances that I won't be sent back to Ireland. And we are suggesting this is when Pat Marry put it on the table for green cards for information. Money, green cards for information, tell lies, save your life in America, tell lies against Aaron Brady, and you will be looked after by Pat Marry, Mark Phillips, and Homeland Security agent Matt Katsky. It is as simple as that. Thank you very much for your question, anonymous one. And please, I'm asking anyone, please watch the Making of a Detective podcast, or listen to the podcast, Making the Detective, the last 4 episodes, 12, 11, 10 and 9. And any questions, and you listen to the drivel and the lies Pat Marry tells during the course of that podcast. And please interact with Aaron's campaign. And we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.